Hey guys, just wanted to share a couple of words on a very common issue to all of us, stress. How do we manage stress? Well, I just wanted to share two principles that really help me in the daily battles with deadlines and pressures and things like that. First thing that has been really helpful for me to realize in stress management is that a lot of our stress, it happens not as a result of the thing, the stressor, the deadline or the workload or the situation you're in, but a lot of our stress actually comes from our reaction to the stressor. So what happens is we have something difficult in front of us, a task, right? And that's stressful, but then we respond with stress and panic and worry and anxiety, and that actually compounds our stress. And oftentimes, something that I've caught myself, if you really pause and analyze a stressful day, you realize that most of your stress came from your response, not from the thing itself. If you had just focused on the tasks, if you had just focused on the specific challenges, most of your stress is actually eliminated. So it was like a breakthrough thing for me to realize that a lot of our stress is manufactured by our own selves in response to the stressors. And when we learn to focus specifically on the tasks right in front of us, it eliminates a ton of that pressure because it frees up your mind to just focus on what you need to get done. Second of all, obviously, the challenge of life is that we are often faced with things beyond what we think we can, fulfill. And when I'm thinking about my daily life and challenging moments, realizing, the biblical concept of God's sovereignty and God's intimate presence in our daily lives. And 1 Corinthians 10:13 teaches us that God is intimately involved in every detail, and he allows temptations and challenges to come into our life. But he is also carefully calculating every moment and every detail to the point where he is always providing a way of escape. He is always providing the enough strength and grace to get us through it. And he is always present and guiding. So he's not just, God never allows us to be piled beyond our capacity, or more specifically, beyond the capacity that he gives for us to get through it, right? We're weak, of course. We can be overwhelmed by the smallest thing, but it is God's strength and grace that gets us through it. And so God provides the challenges, but also God provides the grace in response to the challenges. Why that's so important is because when I'm faced with, for example, a deadline that I'm having a hard time meeting, or a day that's not going the way I wanted it to go, and I am praying, I am working hard, I am focusing, and I'm just not meeting, right, the deadline. I'm just not getting through it, or the day keeps throwing curveballs at me that I just could not anticipate, and the things that I thought I was going to get done, I'm not. There has to be an awareness. You have to live with this awareness that God is sovereignly and intimately present in your daily life. Again, a lot of the stress that we feel, a lot of the kind of the sense of panic comes when we are trying to mold our day or that situation that we're in into a mold that doesn't fit, right? That's really the definition of stress and burnout. It comes from basically living with expectations that are impossible to meet, right? It's kind of like we all have a budget of time and energy, and you're budgeting your time and energy way more to expectations that are much greater than you can live up to. So when you're constantly setting unrealistic expectations, you're constantly going to be stressed. And sometimes we set realistic expectations, but life throws curveballs at us, situations that we did not anticipate, and it makes what was a realistic plan for the day becomes unrealistic because this or that came up. And when you understand that, and you understand God's intimate presence, that this is not just you against the forces of nature. God is here, God is working, God is leading, God is writing your story today, right? When you understand that, you have that awareness, you realize, okay, you know what? I need to stop trying to mold this day into something that it's not. Sure, there may be a cost, there may be a consequence, but God is here, he is working, and clearly I am doing everything I can, prayerfully, working hard, right? And it's still not fitting to the deadline that I wanted to meet. That means God is saying something. God is doing something. God is guiding. So it's like pausing in those moments and realizing and asking God, okay, Lord, help me to readjust my expectations. Rather than keep fighting to the previous expectations, pausing and having that conversational presence with God and saying, okay, Lord, help me to readjust my expectations to be sensitive to what you're doing today. What are you doing? How are you readjusting my day, my deadlines, my goals? Help me to see your purposes. Help me to let go of my goals today, and depend on you and your guiding presence. That letting go, that flexibility with our expectations of life, that eliminates a lot of the stress. It releases the friction, the tension, because we're realizing that life is not always in our control, and we're submitting to what is. And what is God's guiding presence, God's guiding hand. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys as it has been helpful for me.